Hey guys, my name is Andrea, also known as the Cat Lady. That's C-A-T-T, which stands for Craft All the Things. Welcome to my channel. I am primarily a knit and crochet and all sorts of random crafty things, and I do a weekly, sometimes monthly video that just talks about what I'm working on and what's going on. I am currently home with my children, so there might be a few distractions or video cuts, but I will try to minimize that, of course. But this is not a regular episode. This is going to be a review of the new Red Heart Yarn Inspirations Granny Square yarn. So it is called Granny Square All-in-One. So the purpose of this yarn is to be able to grab your hook and just make a granny square. You don't have to, in multiple colors. You don't have to change your yarn. You don't have to weave in all those ends if you have multiple colors, and you can just pick this up and go and make a whole bunch of granny squares to your heart's content. Is it that simple? No. I've watched a number of videos. It is new, so like there's not a ton of content out there, but I've watched a handful of videos, and most of the time people get it to work. I personally have not been able to get it to work perfectly, but I've managed to get it to work for me. And I will show you how I do it at this point. I have also come up with, I have tried 2 other patterns to work with this. And again, it gets a little fiddly, especially I've already made my videos of me making them. The one got really fiddly even when like I did it before and it worked, and then I did it on camera and it didn't quite work, but I just went with it anyways because you could understand the concept and it would probably work for somebody else out there. It's all about your gauge. So this calls for a 5.5 millimeter hook, which is an eye, and I've tried so many different hooks. I tried a 5 millimeter. I tried the 5. Well, of course I started with the 5.5. I tried a different pattern. It comes with a pattern, which I'll talk about too. I tried a 5 millimeter with a slightly different pattern. I tried the 6.5 millimeter. I tried a 6 millimeters, 6.5 millimeter, and an 8 millimeter. I don't have a 7 millimeter, and I have a feeling, I don't know if it would make a difference. I feel like maybe the 7 millimeter might be the spot where I need to be at, but honestly, getting into the bigger hooks, it just makes for like a floppy square. I just didn't like it. So like the 8 millimeter, I kind of could get to work until the last round, and it was like I either had to be really super tight or I would constantly run out of the color. But it was like fine on the other rows. But the holes were like just so big, and I just didn't like it. So like honestly, I settled on the 6 millimeter because I can get it to work, and I like the way it looked for the most part. 6 inches square is what this makes. It makes a 6-inch square, which is a little big too. Like this was tested by people supposedly, and it's like the pattern that is on the ball band. It's just not, I don't feel like it's a typical granny square. I mean, it is, but it's not. Like anyone I've talked to, all the reviews I've seen, this is not how normal crocheters tend to make granny squares anymore. So the fact that this is the pattern is confusing. So first of all, most people do a magic circle. If you don't know crochet, this is all going to make nonsense to you, but most of the time you do a magic circle, and that is like where it's an invisible circle. You pull the tail and it closes up. This starts with a chain 4. I think it was a chain 4, which is fine. I mean, it still ends up looking invisible and closed when you're done, but it's not the typical start. It gives you it tells you to start with a 4-inch tail, so it's very specific, which again you need to be because it's all based on the length of the yarn. And then it says to do your clusters with a chain 3 in the corner. Now I do a chain 2, and most people I've seen or talked to also do a chain 2. So that's another one. And then chain 1 between clusters. I don't do a chain between clusters. Most people don't do a chain between. That's not saying other people don't, but like again, the consensus that I've gathered from watching videos and talking to other people, that's not how we do granny squares. So this is like a very floppy granny square. Like chain 3 in corner is a lot. Chain in between, it's like all this extra space that like you don't need. So but you have to do it to get this to work. That's why I tried like a smaller hook size. I thought, okay, if I'd go with a 5 millimeter and eliminate the chain spaces and eliminate one in the corner, I mean, I probably, if I would have like really played around with the tension, and maybe I could get it to work that way, because I think some people were doing that too. Maybe I could get it to work, but like I gave up on that aspect. And then again, then it was starting to look too stiff. Like I don't know. I feel like I found the 6mm was good. So here's what the yarn looks like out of the skein here. So you have your first color, and it goes until, so it's like self-striping basically, except for it's like a self-striping and planned pooling combination. So it's like you got the first section, and then the second section is bigger, obviously, because you're making your round larger. So then you have your second section that just gets a little bit bigger, and then it goes from there. So then you start your third section, etc. You get the point. And so this is the skein I've been working out of. So the concept is fun. This is not for inexperienced crocheters. You can't just be new to crochet and expect to pick this up and just make it work with the suggested hook size and etc. Maybe you can, like if you're lucky. And I feel like I've seen a lot of people that are like, oh, it just works. And that's great. I'm glad for you, but that has not been my experience. I have ripped out and remade squares so many times, which, okay, the yarn is durable. It's Red Heart. It's inexpensive. It's for the most part. I mean, it's a little, I got this on sale, and I think normal price might be $12, which is it's a little high. I don't know how much typical Red Heart yarn is. So, you know, Joann's, get a coupon, 50% off, $6. Find a sale. I think I spent $7. I had a coupon. Okay, so it was on sale, 25% off, but then I had a coupon for $15 off 75. So anyways, whatever it was, it was on sale. So would I buy this if it wasn't on sale? I might have, because I was in such a weird, like, I want to try it. But the fact that it was on sale and I had a coupon, it was like, yeah, I bought more. So maybe I would have just bought the 6 for a blanket, but here we are. Another thing I decided to do was to pull out a few chunks. So I was making squares and taking them out and making them again and making different things. And I ended up with like 3 sections that were all in little balls. And so I measured, I took them, and this is not scientific whatsoever. I took each section and kind of laid them out. And I'll put in a picture of what I came up with. They were not consistent, okay? Especially like coming from the very first little tip here, which you can tell it's got a little white spot. It signifies the beginning of the skein. This one was like, or for the one I'm using, the first section, this first light green section was like super long. It was like this much longer than the other 2 sections. And then the other 2 sections were closer, but they were off. And like when you're talking about like exact science and stitches and gauges, which is what this whole thing's supposed to be, they were off. So how is that going to vary from this skein to this skein? Are they going to be different? How about from this color to this color? Am I going to get to this color and then decide I need to go down to a 5mm? And now I'm looking in here and there's is that my end? What's going on here? Something going on here. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the end or maybe it's the end. Maybe it's just tucked in somewhere. So there's going to be a lot of variation. Also the color changes. Like one of the videos said, oh, they were pretty clean. Yeah, no, this skein is not clean. This has a lot of that black modeling. Now the color he was using, I think it had black in it. So, but I've noticed a lot of black, like speckling where it shouldn't be. Like here's one right there. You can see like the black kind of is like, however, again, it's Red Heart, it's cheap yarn. I use a lot of Felici yarn, Knit Picks Felici, self-striping, it's fun, but it does the same thing where the colors just kind of, they're splotchy somewhere and it's not always consistent. The stripes get weird. Sometimes the color runs are not accurate and they flip-flop, and I've had plenty of problems with the Felici. I suspect it's going to be the same with this. I've actually already seen in one of my crochet Facebook groups, the color run wasn't long enough and it completely like broke down and was wrong. Like it turned white when it should have been blue and etc. So like, and it was super frustrating because you're trying to figure this out and all of a sudden you run out of the color and it's just like your whole repeat's wrong, and that potentially takes away from your 14 color runs. So could she get 14 out of her skein? Possibly, maybe not. Because then there was another person that got 15 out of one. So, I mean, again, there's not real consistency. So I'm hoping I at least get 14 out of each one because that's how much I need for my blanket. What I want. I'm going to make whatever works because it's going to be plenty. So anyways, so that is my experience. This is my personal experience. Again, I've watched a lot of videos where people were excited and it worked out great. And I've watched a lot of videos where people are frustrated and this is the worst thing on the planet. So it is definitely a wide spectrum of opinions. So what I will show you now though, and I will timestamp everything below in the description box so that if you want to jump to a certain thing, I'm going to show you how I make the regular granny square. I am going to show you how to make a mitered square. And this one got a little challenging because I made it and then it didn't work out. Or I made it like a week or like last week and it worked out. And then I made it in front of the camera and I couldn't get it to work out like I wanted. And I just went with it and finished it and it was fine. Again, I'm not here to be a perfectionist. There are going to be some inconsistencies and things. I tend to solve my problems with slip stitches for this yarn. So there is a lot of slip stitching that comes along and it's not noticeable by the end of the motif. It's not noticeable. So like, it's fine. I mean, again, unless you're like really hyper focused on each stitch and you need it to be a certain way, this is not the yarn for you because your tension is going to be like, okay, I need to be loose and then I need to be tight and then I need to be medium and then I need to be loose at the beginning and tight at the end. And for me, this is how it's been working for me. Again, maybe if I had that magical 7mm hook, maybe that would solve all my problems. So I don't know. But the first one will be the granny. The second one will be the mitered. The third one is going to be what I am actually making my blanket out of. And again, it required, both of the mitered and this one, the African flower, required me to alter existing patterns. So I will also link the details below. But this is my favorite one. And this one is actually kind of the easiest one out of the three that I didn't have to like finagle too much. Again, slip stitching is my friend for all of them, but like this is so pretty. And this colorway with this is just so pretty. I'm kind of curious to see what this colorway would look like in that too, because it'd probably be really pretty. Let's see, what's the center color? Or yeah, I mean this, oh God, this would probably be really pretty too. So, but I love this just like radiating color effect here. I just think this turned out so nice. This wasn't my original idea either. I saw someone on Facebook in one of my groups make something similar. She adapted a pattern on her own somewhere. And I'm like, I need to figure this out. So I did. I went to the internet, found a couple different African flower patterns, and then just went with it. And again, I had to alter what I did to make this yarn work, but it worked. And I was so excited. So I have, and this is now my treadmill project. I think I mentioned that in the video when I'm making it. I did these today. So I walked on the treadmill for an hour and I got 2. So it takes me about 25 minutes while walking to get one of these done. So maybe a little bit quicker if I'm sitting in my chair, but this is my project that I work when I'm taking my walk because it gives me something to do, makes my walk go quicker, and then I'm guaranteed to get 2 done a day if I walk for an hour. Usually I gauge between, or I average between a half hour, or I'm trying to add more time. This is not what I'm talking about. Without further ado, I will now put in the demonstrations of me working on the squares. Okay, so this is the first time I've ever like recorded myself making something. I think maybe it's been a long time, but so I'm going to show you the process of how I'm following the pattern on the back of the ball band to make the granny square. It is, I'm following it as much as I can, but then I have to adjust as needed and like make some tweaks here and there. So just, this is not a tutorial. This is just how I do things. I'm using a 6mm hook. I am gonna go ahead and start with the, I think a 4-inch tail seems awful small. I'm gonna try a 5-inch tail, 5 or 6, I don't know. Let's see what it ends up being about here. So we got a 6-inch tail. So I'm starting with 6-inch tail. Some of the other ones, I got a couple other squares I'm gonna make. Start with a longer tail. The first thing I do is I always pull out a color so I can keep tabs on where I am. And just because it's like if the tension, like I don't want it pulling tightly from the skein. So I pull out the color that I need. Right now I have the whole pile because I ripped this out. So I'm just reusing this pile. So you chain 4, slip into the ring, and then work your clusters. So I'm going to start with a chain 3 instead of a chain 6 because I don't like that look. I don't even know why. I don't know why. So I'm going to make my first cluster basically. It just looks much neater in my opinion. So, but you know, you do whatever you need to do. So I'm going to make my first cluster. I'm going to chain 3, which I don't love this either. I don't love chain 3s in the corner, but that's the only way to get this to sort of work. Okay, so I'm at the end and I have a little bit left, but that's okay. So I'm slipping pretty much I don't have anything left. So I'm slipping and then it's pretty much, it's still a little bit. It's like, this would be fine. Okay, now I know why they have you do the chain 6, because then you end up in that weird big old loop. But I don't like that weird big old loop. Did I chain enough? Let me double check here. See, I'm so used to chaining 2 that I probably only chained 2. 1, 2, 3. Ah, see, there we go. Now it's perfect. So now you need to make it to the corner. So again, I'm going to slip my way over. And again, I know that's taboo because now I'm using up some of this yarn, and yeah, this is just how I do it. Okay. This is just how I do it. So now I'm in the corner. I'm going to chain 3 and I'm starting round 2 and I'm going to make my clusters and I'm trying to not be tight. I'm trying not to be loose. I'm trying to be just like perfect tension, chaining my 3 and away we go. We'll see where we end up. Chain 1 in between, which I don't do either. Okay, now I'm at the end and I got quite a bit left here. And this happens to me all the time that I use the second color. For some reason, the second color, I always have a lot extra. And like, I was really loose. I can't go any looser in how I did that. Like, so once again, I am just going to slip stitch around because I mean, okay, so you can see where I slip stitched before, but not really because it's kind of like tucked in the back. So depending on like, so if I'm just slip stitching in this color, just going around very loosely, and it looks funky at first until you actually start working into the, so let's see, yeah, I'm just gonna go to the corner. So once I get to the color change, I just slip into the back loop because then it kind of tucks it away into the back. And then I'm in the corner, and again, I'm not a professional crocheter, but at the end of the day, the square, it looks fine. Out of like the 80 squares that's going to be in a blanket, it's going to be fine. No one's going to be like, I mean, the yarn sucks to begin with. Like, let's be real. Like these colored blips, it reminds me of Knit Picks Felici. It's like cheap yarn. It doesn't have the best dye job, but it's just fun. Self-striping yarn is fun. This yarn is kind of fun. I don't hate it, but you just have to learn how to play with it, I guess, and just be realistic with your expectations. Now when you get to that, it's a little like feels bulky, but you just gotta kind of be a little snug at that section, just a little, just to cinch it up. The fact that I'm using such a big hook to begin with, I don't love. Like, I feel like it's just kind of sloppy, but this is the only way I can get a traditional granny to work. Actually, yeah, pretty much, because I tried with a 8mm, so maybe a 7mm would work for me, but I've tried with an 8mm and I could get most of the rounds to work, but then the final round I couldn't get to work. It was like I just didn't have enough yarn. So like maybe if I switched back to the 6mm, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to switch hooks in between the project, really. So coming up in the end here, and I'm totally going to have extra yarn again. So yeah, maybe the 7mm hook would be the answer for me. I mean, but I'm not going out to buy a 7mm hook for this. I'm just not. So this is just, I guess this is my cheater's way of making this yarn work, which I feel could be helpful for some people who just are ready to give up and don't want to buy more things, and just, you know, that's where I am. I don't want to buy more things. I bought the yarn. I don't want to buy more stuff to make the yarn work. So we're just gonna slip stitch through here, and here we're at a set. Now we're at a space, so we can start our cluster. Okay, we're back to the end, and we're just gonna slip a couple stitches because we're pretty close to matching up the color. So I'm gonna just kind of shush this in here, and then we are at the next color. And now we're at our final round. And for the final round, it don't matter. Your tension don't matter. Well, it does matter. I actually prefer to keep it kind of tight because it's okay if you have a little left over. So we're gonna make sure this round is a little more snug, because the more leftover black, honestly, the better, because you can use it for some of yours. I don't know, you could potentially use it for well, it's probably not gonna be that much left over. It's just better to have it left over, so you're not like right up to the edge and you have no tail. You want to have a tail. So okay, and here I am with my square. Is it the best looking square? Sorry if I'm shaking the camera, probably am. Is it the best looking square? Probably not. Will it seam up and block with some steam or something nicely? Probably. It's not bad. Now, of course, you can see the little spot here where I slipped, I think. But like, unless you're like coming up and like inspecting it like this, like I can't find where I slipped the other spot, like on the other rows off the top of my head. Oh, maybe right there a little bit. But like, okay, it's not really noticeable. Let's see our size. We are 6 inches. It is a 6-inch square, so this is the intended pattern. It's not terrible. In the 8mm, it was bad. I just didn't like it. It was, the holes were way too big. The chain 3s in the corner were just like, they just seemed huge. And actually, it was a little over 6. It ended up being like 6 1/4, which does make a difference, especially if you're trying to make a wearable or something where the gauge does matter. So 6 inches, this is what we're supposed to get. So this is your granny square from this yarn. Okay, I will now be making a mitered square, a mitered granny square, sorry, which is, the pattern is adapted from Bella Coco Crochet. I will put in the link below of the pattern I adapted. Pretty much I used a pattern. I just have to do some slip stitch magic as usual to get the yarn lined up to where it needs to be, which is fine. And I've only made this once, so we're gonna see how this goes now that I'm recording it, because I've only made this one time and then it worked for me, but you know, you never know if it's gonna work again. I am using the same yarn I used for the granny square. I just ripped it out because I'm not keeping that granny square, so I'm repurposing the section of yarn. So this, I wrote down to use an 8-inch tail, so I'm going to use an 8-inch tail. Approximately. I'm not super... Okay, so about an 8-inch tail. Okay, color 1, chain 5, and join with the slip stitch. Again, this is not a tutorial. This is just how I'm making a mitered square based off the Bella Coco Crochet pattern. Now, it is a she uses UK terms. I wrote it all out on a piece of paper in English terms, so she refers to treble crochets, which are double crochets. Okay, so chain 3 counts as your first double crochet, 2 double crochet into the circle. So basically you're doing the same starting. It's the same start. You're making the little 4 clusters. So I will make 4 clusters with chain 3s. Did she do chain 3s? 2 double crochet, chain 3. Yeah, okay. Or maybe I might have adapted that just because I knew this yarn would like that. So this is pretty much starting the same as the other one. Except I chain 5 instead of 4. So see if that makes a difference. That extra chain, it might. Okay, so I'm cheating there, and I'm only chaining 2 in the last corner just because I ran out of yarn. So I'm just going to chain 2. Why not? I don't think it's going to make a big difference. Or should I go back? Maybe I'll go back and tighten this up a little bit. Okay, so now we got our 4 clusters. We are at that spot, and we are at second color. Turn your work. Okay, so this is the difference between this. Okay, but I actually like to chain first. So chain 3, turn your work. Okay, so turn your work, 2 double crochet into the space. So we're making our corner here. And then, so I mean, I have that stitch there. Does that bother me? Yes, but I'm gonna leave it because I'm not using this anyways. And again, when it's all put together, it's not gonna be noticeable. So, but those little things do bother me a little, but not enough to change it right now. Okay, 2 double crochet, okay, chain 3. Okay, we're doing a corner here. So we got a corner. So we got 3 clusters. And we're pretty much doing a whole nother round, all the way around. So chain 1. So yeah, I adapted her pattern because I don't know if she does the chain 1s or anything. I adapted her pattern to fit with this yarn because it's using the same amount of clusters as the other granny square. That's why it kind of works. It's just in a different format, basically. Formation, maybe I should say. Now they want you, so that's round 2, color 2. We're still ways away from our color, but that's okay. We're going to turn your work, start in any corner space. Okay, so we're gonna slip our way. So actually, I think I'm gonna just go ahead and slip this way because it's just easier. I'm gonna slip my way to the corner, but not this corner because this corner is too close. Can I make it to the other corner? Let's find out. I know this wasn't what the yarn was intended for, but honestly, it's still going to be faster to do things this way than it is to weave. For me, personally, I hate weaving ends. I absolutely hate weaving. Okay, so turn your work. And I'm in a corner, but let's do what we need to do. Chain, okay, I'm on color 3, chain 3. Okay, turn your work. So I'm going to work. So do I need to work the whole corner? Probably. I think I'm working the whole corner. Okay. Or no, I'm working half a corner. So this is now the mitered part. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. This is where the mitered part comes in. So we're not. So we're just stopping right there. So it's going to be kind of straight lined here. Chain 3, double, chain 3, 2, chain 1. Okay, yep. So now we're going around half the square. So do my cluster, chain 1, do my corner. Okay, now that I'm at this corner, we're just doing half the corner. So we'll do 1 cluster. So we're gonna chain 4. So this counts as a double crochet plus a chain 1. And we're gonna turn our work. So now we're working our way back around. And this, yes, we are still using the same color. So this is what we're supposed to be doing. So now we chain 3 double crochet into our space, make our cluster, chain 1, do the same thing around. It's relatively intuitive if you do granny squares. I'm supposed to be on the wrong side, which I am. So it's helpful to have notes. Obviously, if you do this a bunch, you'll start remembering the pattern, but. And then when you get to the end, you double crochet into the top of the chain 3. So my chain 3 is a little funky here, but we're gonna find a spot that looks like the top and double crochet into that. So I should be a little bit closer in yarn, and I'm not. I was before. So again, it's like every time you do it, it's different. So now I'm supposed to be start in end chain space from previous row. Okay, so yeah, I'm supposed to be starting in this chain space here. So like now at this point, I think I have to rip back and tighten my gauge. So for this one, because you have to end here. So, but I'm pretty close. So I am gonna just rip back and I'm to tighten my gauge and I'll be back. I'm mistaken, loosen my gauge. Even though I've been pretty loose, I'm going to try to loosen it a little bit more. All right, so I've gone through this a bunch of times and I still can't get to the end of this thing, end of this color. So it is not working for me. So now is when I try to just wing it, right? So we're just gonna slip down a little. And I don't know. Okay, never mind. Okay, so now I've reached the end, and maybe this is a disaster. I cannot get this to end up where I want it to be. So maybe I've tried to be as super loose as I could. Like, did I miss some stitches? I don't know. This yarn is just not consistent enough to replicate, honestly. So like at this point, do I just keep going and see what happens? Maybe. It's gonna look weird though, so let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, because we're just going around the same thing. So that's supposed to be a chain 1, or what am I doing? No, I'm doing chain 3. No, okay, so doing a chain 3. So we're making a double. We're making a cluster. So yeah, half this cluster is going to be the wrong color. So let's just humor and see where we end up. So we're going to do the same thing for these next 2 rows. They're going to be 2 rows that build the same exact way. They come back and forth, turning your work obviously to come around the other side. When you get to your chain 4 at the beginning, you do a cluster of 3 in there. And then you do the chain 4, which is a double crochet and your chain 1. And then you turn and go back around. And when you get to the end of this one, you do your double crochet in the chain 3 of your first cluster, or the chain 3 that counts as your first double crochet. So here I am left with about the same amount again. So like it's the first 2 rounds, the first round worked pretty well. I'm like, okay, so maybe a 7, so it could be a gauge thing. Maybe if I had the 7mm hook, it would just be enough to use up that thing. So maybe for me, this yarn requires a 7mm hook. So I'm hoping at least that other people can get this pattern to work the same way that I am without fudging it. But let's see. So now we're in the last color, which is the border. So the border, it doesn't matter where you start. So for this round, I can go ahead and then slip stitch my way to a cluster because I'm going all the way around. So it doesn't matter where I start. It's going to be just a standard row. So I'm just going to slip my way to the black and see where I end up. Okay, and I'm right there. And we'll just do our chain cluster there. So I did that again. I don't like that one stitch, so I'm gonna slip one more time so that I get rid of that. So if I slip here, then I slip into here. It gets rid of that guy. Except it puts it onto the front. So actually maybe it's fine because I'm on the back side. It's weird when you're turning your stuff. So, okay, so I'm on the back side, so that's not even gonna be noticeable. So there we go. So now you do your border row, the same as any other row, any normal crochet, or granny square, sorry. Same as the other granny square. You just go all the way around, making sure to do your, and I tighten it up a little bit so I make sure I have leftover yarn for a tail. And I'll meet you on the other side. Okay, I was supposed to turn my work. So I'm supposed to be working on the right side row for the final round. So here we are. So I slip stitched around. So I'm gonna go ahead and slip stitch one more in here so I can then turn my work and be in the center of this. So try that again. Now we're gonna chain 3, do our cluster, and work our other way around. So this is our corner now. This was where we kept turning to go back and forth, but now it's our corner, so we're gonna treat it like a corner. Okay, I made it to the end. I think I did everything right, and I have a nice little tail, perfect size tail to end. And now we're at the mitered square looking blanket. So like when you have the right color placement, this gives like an optical illusion when you put them all together in squares and it looks like you're looking into a hole. I feel like this the center color throws it off because usually you'd have this color. So you'd have 2 rows of every color. So yeah, this color throws it off. So it doesn't, it's just still fun. Jim, actually my husband, he picked this square out as his favorite out of the 3 that I did. And I do like the optical illusion style and I want to do it sometime, but like this throws it off because yeah, each color besides the border has 2 colors. So this is throwing that off for me. But it looks kind of fun. And it is 6 inches. So it is a 6-inch motif. So this was a little fiddly, of course, but again, if you're lucky and you have better attention, and again, maybe I need a size 7. Maybe the size 7 would solve all my problems. I don't know. But that is the mitered square, granny square. Okay, so this is the final motif that I have made with this yarn. And it's my favorite, and it's the one I'm going to make blanket of. So here they are. This is the African flower, and it is beautiful. And it still requires a little bit of zhuzhing and slip stitching, which, again, I just want to get them done. It takes me like 25 minutes or so to get one of these done when I'm walking on the treadmill, which it's, so like if I do an hour on the treadmill, I can get 2 done, and it's like really cool. So it makes my treadmill time go faster, and I don't know, get them done. So once again, I am adapting a pattern from HeidiBears.com. I will put the link below. So this is the African flower hexagon. I am using my 6mm hook, and I am leaving an 8-inch tail. Once again, I ripped out the yarn from the mitered square because now I'm going to make this, and I will keep it because this is the motif that I am making with this yarn. So the other ones were just for samples. So we are going to leave an 8-inch tail once again, approximately. I mean, again, it's like I'm just doing what I'm doing. So let's see. We've got an 8.5 inch tail, close enough. And we are going to start with chain 5. This is not a crochet tutorial. This is just me showing an experienced crocheter how to make this version of an African flower hexagon out of granny square yarn. So join with slip stitch. Chain 3 counts as your first double crochet. Make a make another double crochet, and then chain 1. And you're going to make 6 of these 2 double crochet clusters with a chain 1 into the ring. So you want 6 clusters, 6 2 double crochet clusters separated by a chain 1. Okay, and then join. So there's my 6. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Chain 1, joined with a slip stitch at the top of the first chain 3, and I am perfectly where I'm supposed to be. So round 2, color 2, chain 3 above the chain 1 space. So I'm going to aim for this chain 1 space here. Actually, I'm going to slip over that just because it'll change my color even more. So, okay, so then we'll chain 3. So we're in a chain 1 space, double crochet into the same chain 1 space, chain 1, and then 2 more double crochet into that space. And you're going to repeat this for all the chain 1 spaces, which will give you 6 clusters. You can see a theme here. So we have 2 double crochet clusters with a chain 1, another 2 double crochet clusters. That's it. Then no chains, go straight into the other chain 1 space, 2 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet into the same space, and repeat that around. Okay, I have my 6 clusters, and then I slip stitch back into the top. No chains there. So the chains are all in between the clusters. So I have 1 2 3 4 5 6. And once again, I am left with a crap ton of this second color. And that's like, no matter what motif I do, I'm always left with the second color. So I'm gonna just, and so yeah, this one, and it depends. Again, this yarn isn't consistent. So, and I know my tension's not always consistent. I tried to be really loose though. And so I'm going to slip stitch around until I get to the color change. All I need to do is line up at a chain 1 space. So I can go all the way around here. I'm just going through the back loop just because it's kind of easier, and it kind of tucks it into the back. So like it folds over into the back, so it doesn't matter. This was a lot longer than usual, honestly. And again, like, since it's so inconsistent per color run, it could be just this color run is not great. So keep going. Okay, I'm into the color change, and I'm at a chain 1 space. So here I am in the chain 1 space. I am on color 3, round 3, and I'm going to do actually, I'm gonna see. Okay, so I'm going to chain 3, counts as my first double crochet, and I'm going to double crochet 6 more. See, I don't like that one little stitch there, so I think I need to slip stitch into the center there for the final one. Okay, it's going to give me a little green there, but that's okay. I will get over it. All of mine have it probably. Okay, so I'm going to chain. I want a total of 7 double crochets. So this starts as, that counts as my Y1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you're going to do 7 double crochets in all the chain 1 spaces. So not these spaces, the chain 1 spaces between the clusters. So don't go into here. You're going to go into the chain 1 between your double crochets of the last round. So I will meet you back. Okay, I'm back at the end of this, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6. And my yarn ended where it was supposed to. So like, yeah, it's like sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So it ends pretty much where it's supposed to. Maybe like I could have tightened up just to, you know, not get that one stitch. But again, I'm not going to nitpick. All these have these slight in, you know, spots that like you can't tell. You can't tell. Okay, maybe, okay, you can see that now. If I'm staring at that, I can like, okay, well, the color changes there. Maybe I slip stitched somewhere in there. I don't know. I probably did, but I don't see it. So like, it's the whole, just don't stress over it, okay? Don't stress over these little things, because at the end of the day, when the whole thing's done, yes, you can see that, but, and right now it bothers me because I'm staring at it, but, you know, once the whole motif is done, it's not going to be noticeable. And once it's in a round of 80 other motifs, it's not going to be noticeable. Okay, so moving on. So we're on color 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and look how cute it is. It's so cute. And we are going to single crochet into, so I slip stitch into the first one. So we're going to single crochet into that, or actually I do a chain 1. I didn't put that down, but I like to chain 1. And then you're going to single crochet around the 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I missed one at the front here. You need to get to the 7, so actually I'm going to count back. Okay, so the 1, let's see. It's the whole chain 3 kind of throws you off. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I just skipped the one that I was supposed to do. So, oh, okay, so here's where the deal is. Okay, so it is finicky. So there's 2 stitches here, 1, 2. So I do my chain 1, single crochet into the 1, and it kind of hides that second one. So you got to find the second one there. 2. Okay, there we go. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now you will double crochet into this space here. So into the space that you made on round 2, you will dip down and make a kind of a long double crochet. And that defines this little petal here. And then you do the same thing all the way around. So, but your first couple of crochet is kind of hidden there. So you got to get into, or that you're singling into. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then you're going to double crochet into that space that you made on round 2. And you will do that all the way around. And you will end with doing a double crochet into this round, but I will be back when I get there. And don't forget, again, this one is hidden. The first one is kind of hidden. Okay, I'm at the final dip down there. Okay, we got that. And then we will slip stitch back in our first single crochet. I think is that my, so I always get confused when my chain 1 and when my first stitch is. I think it's right there. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so it's this one. Again, it doesn't matter anyways either. Okay, so there is that round. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Make sure you got 6. Everything is 6. The hexagon is, everything is in 6. So we are in groups of 6 here. So, and we are continuing with the same color for a second round. This is where the pattern has been adapted, because I don't remember where the color changes are in that round either, but I think in this round they typically do a double crochet around, but that, of course, I did not have enough yarn for, so I just did another round of single crochets in here. However, you need to find your center. So this is where, and it just gets, you have to pay attention. You have to know how to read your crochet. So you're finding the center of each petal. So this is considered a petal, and you're kind of defining the center. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 double crochets. So your center petal would be 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have 3 on each side. So you are aiming for this spot here to do a, okay, so I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to single crochet back into the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm at the 4th petal here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to single crochet into that. I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to single crochet into it again. And then I'm going to go around until I find the next center. Which is 8 stitches away. So I'm on the 8th stitch here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to single crochet, chain 1, single crochet back in here. And then I'm going to go 8 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm at the 4th stitch. Single, chain 1, back into the single, back into the thing. So you're pretty much defining these little top parts. So I keep doing that all the way around. Hopefully I have enough yarn. Hopefully I don't run out of yarn. I think I still have extra. Usually I still have extra, so I'm trying to be kind of loose. But I'm also trying to pay attention to where I'm going, so. And I don't really count. I just start looking. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm at the 4th stitch. Okay, I'll meet you on the other side. Okay, so I'm back to the beginning, slip stitch. Still got a bit left there. So ideally, I don't want to slip stitch past this chain 1 spot. Where's the, where's my double here? Because it gets hard to then find it. If you are, like, I have a hard time reading single crochets, but I can see that's where I did a double into the same stitch. If you want to, you can go and mark all those, or maybe just like dig them out a little bit just so they don't get buried. So there's, let's see, there it is right there, because it's like hard to find them later, I feel like. But ideally I don't want to slip stitch over that, but I feel like I have so much yarn that I'm going to have to. So I'm going to just go ahead and slip around. So I'm on my final color, on my final round. It doesn't matter where I start. So where was the double? So see, I already lost it. It's right there. So it's easy to kind of lose the spot, but whatever. I'm going to go through it. I'm just going to go through the back side here. And I'm just going to remember that's what I did. Because again, it gets harder to work into it. But again, I'm trying to line up my colors. So, okay. So I've lined up. Now I'm kind of at the center of here. And so now for the final round, we're just going to half double in every stitch until we get to that space. I'm half doubling, okay, there's the, okay, half double here, and then I get to my space here, my chain 1 space is right there, and I'm going to half double into the chain 1 space, chain 1, half double again, and then I will half double around to the next chain 1 space. Okay, I've made it to, nope, not yet. Okay, so I've made it to the chain 1 space here. Which again, it's hard to see. Or maybe, oh no, that was my chain 1 space. Yes, okay. That's my chain 1 space. And it is a little bit bigger. You can see obviously it's bigger than the, so half double in, I already half doubled. Chain 1, half double. And again, I'm not precise on everything. Because at the end of the day, after it's kind of stretched out, blocked, sewn together, it's going to look fine. So I don't stress over. Obviously, you need that spot to be in the right spot because that's your points. And to come to one more. So it is right there. Where is it? See, yeah, okay. Some Okay, so now I'm getting into the spots where I slip stitch, so I need to make sure I keep in mind that my center is here, and these will be a little snug, but can get in there. So I can tell my chain 1 was here. That's where my fourth petal is. Chain 1, half double, and my center is now in the spot it's supposed to be at. Oh, something weird. Oh, that's, I don't know what's going on there, but we're just gonna fix that. Okay. Chain, slip stitch into this beginning, and here we go. I'd probably put that on the bottom because that's good. Okay, so I'm going to tighten my circle. And there is my motif. Once it gets blocked out, it looks a little straighter, but here we go. And it is 6 inches by 6 inches. So that is the African flower. All right, so this is probably a longer video than normal. I usually try to make my normal episodes like a half an hour, but I just wanted to make this all one because I thought, okay, well, I could do each one separate, and maybe I will. Maybe I will eventually just split up and make them separate. But for this review, I wanted everything all in one. Again, I have timestamps below if I can figure that out. I usually don't timestamp my videos, so so that is how I make my squares. If you have any questions, if you need any more assistance, if you want some more, like, again, these weren't tutorials, these were more, this is what I do. This is my recipe. This is how I adapted patterns. It's not how to crochet. I'm not a crochet teacher. This is not a tutorial channel. I will help you if I can. If there's anything I can do to assist, if you have questions, if you can't tell what I'm doing exactly, I will be happy to assist. I will put all my notes on Ravelry. If you don't use Ravelry, just let me know and I will send you an email, whatever, on my adaptations and whatever. So, but all the links to the original patterns are below. Maybe I'll try to put in like what I changed, just to, you know, at least give you a heads up, like, of this, I did this round differently. That's it. This is the first time I've done something like this. This is the first time I've reviewed something, but like, it's so polarizing right now as far as like love it or hate it. And I really wanted to share my thoughts, and I wanted to share that you not stuck to one granny. It also makes striping if you knit. There's a few patterns on Yarn Inspirations website that you can knit stripes, like a stripy scarf. So it'll kind of make stripes. You can come up with things. So you just need to figure out, you know, just like plan pooling, which I've never done before either, but like you can make the weird stuff. So like those were 3 squares that granny motifs or motifs that I found that worked. So there might be more. So feel free to experiment, step outside your comfort zone if you dare. And yeah, just have fun with it and try not to stress yourself out, because I did at first and I was like very feeling like buyer's remorse, like after the first day, after spending like 2 hours in here just like knitting, ripping it out, knitting, ripping it, or crocheting, ripping it out, crocheting, ripping it out. And like, I was like, oh my God, why did I do this? Once I stumbled across what I liked and what I wanted to do for a blanket with these, I felt, okay, it's gonna be okay. So that's all I have. If you like my channel, please subscribe. If you like knitting, crochet podcasts, or whatever, vlogs, whatever you want to call this, feel free to check out my regular episodes. I'm hoping to record a regular episode by the end of this week, so we'll see. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please ask below, send me a message, whatever. You can find me on Instagram as The Cat Lady, and I have a Facebook group, The Cat Lady, and I also have a Discord channel if you want to chat. The Cat Lady, everything The Cat Lady. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.